What's up, guys, and welcome back to Cards for Humanity, an event that is quite literally bringing the CCG community together, guys, over the next, about the next roughly 14 hours, because we're already 2 hours into this wonderful event brought to you by 983 Media. As you know, probably by the title of the stream at the moment, and by seeing these wonderful two faces, this is the Mythgard section, which we're quite appropriately calling Mythgard for Humanity. So we saw the first semi-final matchup just before the break, which saw Large Nuggets taking on Silver Arrow, and Silver Arrow coming out on top with their mono red deck, beating Large Nuggets, kind of more mid-range yellow purple deck, right? And now we're going to go into semi-final number 2. But before we get there, guys, remember that this is for a wonderful cause. This is any bit of money raised in this event today. There is no profit be going anywhere apart from every penny that's made on this stream is going to the World Health Organization Solidarity Response Fund for COVID-19. And you guys can be part of this wonderful event if you want to. ! Donate in chat right now. And you can go through there. You can donate as much or as little as you want. You get your name on that leaderboard over there, or not leaderboard, just kind of board of honor, an honorary board, Hall of Fame, shall we call it. And you can get your name on that Hall of Fame board, and you can help donate and help 983 Media hit that $1,000 target. All of the money, as I said, is going to the World Health Organization Solidarity Response Fund, which is, I think we can all agree, at a time like this, a wonderful cause to give the money to. But anyway,
get a solid quarantine.
Yes, indeed.
Just do it, please.
Yeah, indeed. Wholesome there with the wise words. But now we're going to go into semi-final number 2, which is going to see Cardine taking on Tufaka. Now, jumping into the decks, we can see, or we've already looked at Tufaka's deck, right, Wholesome? And we know how strong this incredibly good green-orange reanimate deck is. And I say green-orange before I say reanimate because I personally feel like this deck is a green-orange mid-range deck, again, with that side of reanimate. We sort of hope this decomatics get value last time pulling Cashel out the graveyard, and it was just too much of a threat for On Eric to deal with. The Seal of Exile, there's only one in there, but it's still nice control. It can deal with stuff, especially playing against like a Valkyries list, which we'll look at in a minute. I mean, anything in this list before we go into the mono blue list of Cardine, the Valkyries list, anything in this list that you think is going to be a direct problem for a Valkyries list?
Rewind Hex is going to be huge against them. It's just going to disrupt so much tempo for 2 mana. If they have a Kara on Speedway or any kind of Valkyries on their enchantments, it's just going to be it's going to slow them down and allow Tufaka to redevelop his board and bring the game to them. And I mean, they have some really good removal in here too, with Dark Passenger and even Temptation. So they're going to be able to take away a Kara or some other Valkyries and make optimal trades.
Yep. No, definitely. And now jumping across to the mono blue Valkyries list brought to us by Cardine. Now, this is very similar list we saw Cardine play in Bar Brawl, which was the previous 983 event for Mythgard, which was pre the most recent balance patch change. Anything in this list that stands out to you that's changed or gone in there now because the balance change that we saw recently?
Not that I can see. It looks pretty standard. I know since the patch, some people have been straight up cutting Allfather's Horn, but we see Cardine stay true to the Horn plan, and it can just close out games. So
it's seriously strong, right?
Yeah, and then Ingrid got the buff, so if they draw into that mythic, it's pretty devastating.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, the 3 red gems on a 5-drop for Ingrid is really hard to get her off. Not if you're running a mono blue list. So Ingrid coming down on curve or close to curve even, and being a 4/3 alpha strike on the board is kind of strong in its own right. But then pulling every single Valkyrie back from the boneyard to your hand, it's potentially game winning. It's huge.
And one thing to note here is that Kartdeen is running 3 Valkyrie Enforcers, which is a direct counter to the Reanimate game plan. Because it's a bounce and they come back ephemeral, they just poof.
Exactly, yeah. And we can see 11 enchantments in the Valkyrie list, meaning that it's going to be getting its 25% draw rate off Rainbow's End. But as you said, if they can find the rewind hex, then maybe, just maybe, Tufaka has a chance of slowing down or shutting down that kind of Rainbow's End tempo ramp, whatever you want to call it, board presence that those enchantments can offer. But I think we're pretty much good to get into the game, guys. So we're going to jump over now and we're going to check out Kartdeen against Tufaka in this wonderful, or this exciting matchup we have got planned for us right now. Before we get into it, any predictions, Wholesome? Any predictions you think can go either way?
I mean, I think Tufaka, he's proven himself before, but Valkyries is what's plaguing the ladder right now. So I really don't know. And we see Kartdeen starts with the coin on the draw. So, and they have Ingrid in hand. So we'll have to see how this goes.
Yes, indeed. And I've just seen that actually Tufaka having quite a slow hand. Obviously, at the bar brawl that we mentioned again, which the VOD is available now on YouTube if anyone's interested. 983 Media over on YouTube. You can go check that out if you want to go see that action. I'm sure you probably checked that out anyway because it was a wonderful event. Tufaka was running collar box then, right? But the collar box got a slight buff, or a slight nerf, in terms of they lost a 1-1 power down to 0-1. They still get the potential to ramp ahead and play ahead of curve. But he's cut the collar box for this tournament, right, and replaced them with other cards. Do you think that was a good call?
I'm not sure. I'm still testing collar box, and I still think they're quite a good card, even though they're not as broken as they were, especially in Reanimator, because you get the Slayer and it gets a trade into a Trapezist or something. But I think they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, permanent ramp on turn 1.
Yeah, exactly like you said. If you're playing out first, then they can be huge, right? Because there's almost no way of dealing with them. But no, so we can see that Kartdeen does have a few of their enchantments in hand, one of their enchantments in hand, which they may cycle back in. I know I saw in chat actually before people having a conversation about why they're burning their enchantments in the Rainbow deck, and the whole idea being that obviously you draw an enchantment. If your top card of your deck is an enchantment, you draw it next turn. So burning cards, putting them back in your deck, increases that potential or that percentage chance of drawing an enchantment off the top, which is effectively free card draw. And if we saw anything from last game, Large Nuggets against Silver Arrow, card draw is pretty good in Mythgard. And we're not going to lie there. But how's this game playing out for you so far? How do you feel like this game is going?
Yeah, this feels pretty bad for Kartdeen. I mean, they're the aggro deck, and they don't even have a turn 1 play. And Tufaka's already got 2 1-drops on the board right now and sees Kartdeen's hand with the Informant. So this is not looking too hot for Kartdeen here. They're going to have a good turn 2 with Thane, but as soon as Tufaka flips that disc, that Eager Recruit can kill it. So I'm not sure they're going to want to contest it, but they already have less life than Tufaka.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Like you said, this Valkyrie list isn't necessarily like straight up faces to place aggro. It's kind of leans slightly more on the mid-range side, right? But it is still, like you said, it's still a more aggressive deck. It wants to be playing out first. It wants to be getting the minions on the board first. It wants to be kind of having that board presence, right? And at the moment you can see now that it's almost rare to see that Tufaka down to 4 cards in hand and Kartdeen sat with 9 cards in hand, and it's just because they haven't had anything to play. I'm assuming they're holding on to the Leprechaun's coin, potentially to drop the Ingrid on turn 4. There's other cards they may play slightly earlier if the situation calls for it. Valkyrie Enforcer in hand against a Reanimate deck is never a bad idea, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to want to hang on to that and not burn it here. I don't think they're gonna coin out Ingrid. I mean, because they just don't have anything in the boneyard. They're gonna wait. Tufaka doesn't really run any sweepers, um, so they're probably not gonna get really good Ingrid value until they make quite a few trades. You know.
Yep.
And they're just going to need to slowly develop the board. And it's a shame that Cardine just doesn't have any enchantments and they're not drawn off their path. But that's one of the risks you take when you play this path in particular, especially with only 11 enchantments.
Yeah, that's it. And so many people, so many times you can play against Rainbow and you can end up going, my God, this enchantment's this pathway's broken, right? Because they're just drawing enchantments all the time. And you're like, oh my God. And other times you play against people who are running Rainbow and you're like, oh, this pathway's trash because they're not drawing anything. But it's as simple as that. It comes down to, at the end of the day, it's RNG, and is the card at the top of their deck an enchantment? And you always want to aim for that 25% minimum, really, because if you work out something like Turn of Seasons, then obviously that gives you 2 card draw every 4 turns, being 25%. If you can get 2 card draw every 4 turns on Rainbow, then technically you're getting your value back on it with Leprechaun's Coin. But if you can get anything bonus on that, which, like you said, playing just about 25% of 11 cards is risky, but let's hope the risk pays off for Cardine as the match goes on. At the moment, that Thunderclap is looking pretty tasty. The more and more it goes, there's another Eager Recruit in hand, which is going to be another Thunderclap target. It's potentially a good card. Like the Valkyrie Tough's always a nice card, I find. It's just a 2-drop 3/3. I just feel like the 3/3 gives it enough presence, damage, body to make it annoying.
Definitely. And it's interesting to see Tufaka hold that Eager Recruit and not play it last turn. I think they're expecting Thunderclap or Magnus, so off of coin possibly. So that's a good read by them. Yeah. And Cardine's just, in a kind of pretty bad situation. They're going to slowly develop their board, but now they're on, they're playing defense. And they're not drawing those enchantments, so.
Yeah, no, we see the burn there, and we see the Enforcer coming down, which obviously has the overrun ability, and it also has the ticking ability of every time a Valkyrie you control dies. Now, Thane isn't a Valkyrie, so he won't tick the. I'm pretty sure he's not Valkyrie, is he? He's a Norse god. Is that right?
He's undead.
He's undead. There we go. Yeah. So he won't get the tick onto the Enforcer, but there are a few, or there is 2 Valkyrie, 3 Valkyries in hand, a Frederick Sidecar, the Ingrid Stormdotter, and Valkyrie Enforcer. Obviously, playing the Enforcer as well does start building that Ingrid's value up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, ooh, Road Queen is pretty nice there. It won't keep the Enforcer alive, purely because it will only bring Enforcer up to 4/2, and Born Again will trade into the Enforcer. We have several options here, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could try and develop a troll here, but I don't think it's worth it until you're ready to really combo. They might just want to clap and get that value. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's the value.
Keep their Storm Daughter alive.
Yeah, and keeping that. Sorry, I called it Enforcer. Bad me. Chat's gonna. Yeah, I apologize. That's my fault. It is a Storm Daughter. It's not a. It's Storm Daughter chosen, not an Enforcer. I do apologize. That is my misplay, shall we say there. But no, like you said, the troll. The troll's a wonderful card because some of the stuff you see people do off troll is just beautiful. It's like a sight to behold. You see people play it sometimes, and it's always one of those cards when you go, okay, how deep are you going to go with this combo? Like, where are you going to go with it? And I love that. I love it when card games give pilots that opportunity to just do some crazy nonsense, and that's exactly what Troll offers. And it's a card I think that very much plays into a skillful player. Like, that's probably why, again, I didn't play it very often, because I'm like, this is far too intelligent for me. Like, just give me Zira and let me just play lots of spells and hit to the face. Like, that's simple and I can do it. Leave me at that.
You can get some pretty insane lethals with Troll, and that's one of the most enjoyable things about this deck is how a lot of the games come down to just, you feel like you're in puzzle mode and you're just trying to find lethal.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that effectively Valkyrie is a tribal deck. If anyone's wondering what a tribal deck is, at the bottom of those cards you can see they say Valkyrie, and you're playing into a sub-archetype that the game have built for you. The Rhino have kind of made these sub-archetypes. There's stuff like vampires, there's, as you said, undead, there's all these different witches, but Valkyrie is definitely the strongest in the game. And the fact that most tribal lists are never too strong for a competition, but the fact that this mono blue tribal list of Valkyries can come to a tournament like this Cards for Humanity and stand toe to toe with some of the best, like, top tier decks in the game, I think that's great. And I like it when tribal decks allow that opportunity to be built into close to tier 1, if not tier 1 decks.
One day that it'll be that way for canines, I believe. Rhinos, please.
Yeah, pray for the canine. Come on, guys. The canine can make it. I've always wanted witches. I love the witches in the witches in the game, but they are very much again. I'm going to use the word underdeveloped. I don't mean that in any kind of disrespectful way. But just there's only one base set of Mythgard, and the next set is coming soon. People, make sure you follow Rhino over on social media if you want to keep up to date with the development of the next set. And hopefully we can get announcements soon. Rhino, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, on when the set is going to come. But back to this game, that was a nice use, I feel, of the temptation. You got the overrun ability, removed the enforcer right. However, it has started to build up that value for Ingrid Stormdaughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's why Cardine wasn't too worried about dropping it, and it was turn 6, and Tufaka still hadn't played the Hopeless Necromantic, so they just felt like they could play the Enforcer and kind of regain board control and push some damage. So I think that was played well by Cardine, and they can always get it back with Ingrid. So
indeed, and still holding on to that Leprechaun's coin, which, I mean, they could, if they really wanted to, they could play it this turn. They have the option to play something like a Road Queen and a Bridgeway Troll, if that was a Frecky Sidecar and a Bridgeway Troll, if that's something they wanted to do, or Frecky Sidecar and a Road Queen, if they wanted to do that. There's various options they have here with the coin, if they want to use the coin. Sea Haven is a card, obviously, that is still out there, but it's nothing. I mean, the armor ability is always nice. Being an empty board, maybe it's a nice opportunity to develop an enchantment, because obviously enchantments are naturally slower. They're not giving you much board presence, but they are setting up for future board presence. So playing something like a Sea Haven to give that armor to something like an Ingrid or a Road Queen is always nice. So we're going to see a burn on one of the trolls, which I think makes sense. You don't really need 2 trolls in hand, right? Have you ever heard of the saying 2 trolls is too many? I do not. It's a big saying, mate. It's a big saying over in the UK. I say it all the time. You're queuing up for a sausage roll at Greg's, and they say, "Cool, 2 trolls is too many, right?" And you're like, "Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree." So, yeah, it's completely the case. And there we go. We went with the play. Didn't need to use Leprechaun's coin. Sorry, that was only if they wanted to play the troll. But instead, they dropped the Road Queen, dropped the Frecky Sidecar, which makes sense. Because now if they really wanted to, they could end up playing something like a Ingrid Stormdaughter to lane 3, and that gets rush right off of Frecky Sidecar. Is Frecky Sidecar only when you play the card? Isn't it? It's any card adjacent, right? Has rush.
No, it was nerfed. So because people were abusing it with all kinds of cards and Reanimator and stuff, basically what they nerfed it to was anything with mana cost 5 or less.
There you go.
Ingrid is 5 mana, so she will get the rush.
Cool. So you can't be dropping something like a Sapo next to it, which we know people have probably done in the past. So,
So yeah, this is a really good setup for Cardine, since they have the troll in hand, and they have a freaky sidecar developed, so they can dodge that. They might have lethal. Honestly, I'm not sure, because I'm not a Valkyries player.
Yeah, like you said, Valkyries play are a different kind of breed. They're like chess players. They're reading 7 or 8 turns ahead. Like they knew if they had lethal 4 turns ago. Like that's the way a Valkyrie player plays, right? With Bridgeway Troll, and it's looking pretty good here. Like the value is really strong here. They don't again. They could end up dropping a Storm Daughter's, sorry, an Ingrid Storm Daughter.
Oh yeah,
I'm
they
pretty
have
sure.
lethal.
I'm pretty sure the bottom card of the graveyard is only an eager recruit. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure the Thunderclap put an eager recruit to the bottom of the boneyard. So I'm pretty sure the Hopeless Necromantic brings that back, and that is all it brings back. But talk us through the lethal then.
No, they have Armageddon Angel on the bottom of their deck that they
Ooh,
discarded,
okay.
but they have the lethal with Bridgeway Troll. You just clear the lane and move them and attack with all 3.
There we go. Sea Haven going to come down.
I
Do a
guess
little
you
bit
could
of
do
protection
it with Sea Haven as well. There's a couple lethals.
Just going to move this over here. Give that agility. Here we go. There we go. I mean that we said Bridgeway Troll is a thing to behold, and that is exactly it, right? It just offers that. It offers that next level play of just going like, yeah, it's like what was that Matt Damon film with the Good Will Hunting? It's literally like Good Will Hunting. They should call the mono blue Valkyrie deck Good Will Hunting, and then Cardine. We've said all of last tournament at Bar Brawl, all of this tournament when we've seen Tufaka, how strong is this is this orange green reanimate list? And Cardine said, well, you can talk about what you want, mate, but no one is talking about my mono blue Valkyrie Goodwill Hunting list. Talk us through that finish there, buddy. Talk us through that game.
I mean, I guess I don't know if Tufaka should have played the Hopeless Necromantic way sooner and forced Cardine to have the Enforcer. I guess he knew it because he plays the Informant and he drew that one of in his deck and had the information. And I guess that forced him to kind of play awkward. And he kind of floated some mana and he knew the Thunderclap was in hand. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't much he could do. Even though Cardine had a really slow start, they just managed to Thunderclap, redevelop the board, and then Tufaka had the nice temptation, but it just wasn't enough. They couldn't stick any of their bigger mid-range, top-end minions and finish it off. Cardine just continued to chip away until they had that troll lethal.
Cool, guys. Sorry, I'm back now. Cardine's like next level play completely crapped up my internet. So, but don't worry, we're back now, and we're jumping into game number 2. Wholesome, talk us through these opening hands, buddy.
Cardine's hand is looking a lot better than last time. They've got a nice curve. At least they have the turn 1 play, and they do have Thunderclap and Magnus in case Tufaka manages to get those early 1 and 2 drops and start going wide. And they top deck an Enforcer, which is going to shut down that Ikuter, so that Tufaka just discarded. And it's really good that they got that because he has the Hopeless Necromantic in hand. Other than that, he's got the Rewind Hex, which should get value if Cardine decides to start playing enchantments.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's got a nice low curve, so he's going to put up a fight here, and he's not going to let these Valkyries just hit him in the face all day.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Cardine wants to be, right? There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 drop in hand. There's a play every turn, and as you said last game, Cardine didn't have this. He managed to claw his way back and end up, or they managed to claw their way back and get the win, but they didn't have that, right? They didn't really play anything substantial until turn 3, but now we're already seeing develop a board, and Fane is going to literally eat no, he's not, sorry, because the Slayer. So yeah, the Slayer, one of the best metal bands from the 80s and 90s, coming back and saying, no, I'm going to make my Born Again even like rain blood on you, quite literally, and take your fame. So Slayer, always a fan of that band, and I think Born Again is a big fan of it as well now. But still going to get the 2 damage in middle lane there from the help me out.
The Freaky Scout.
the scout, freaky something. I know it's freaky something. Scout. There's Storm Daughters, there's Chosens, there's Enforcers, and there's Scouts. And Woody is making an absolute hash of this. And I'm going to apologize right now. Again, I'm not a Valkyrie player. This is like, if Valkyrie's IQ 500, keep me with IQ 5. IQ 5 decks, I'm happy. Simple as that. Fane then choosing to go, do you know what? I'm not going to trade now because the Slayer's on the board. However, I think that's a nice time, right, to develop an enchantment. As you said, the Rewind Hex is in hand, but it only bumps it back to hand. It bumps the card back to hand, right, and then destroys the enchantment. So Fane still...
No, it puts it on top of the deck.
Oh, sorry, that was it, yeah.
It ruins their draw, right?
And in a deck that wants to play more aggressive, that's just not nice. It's just straight up not nice. Having the Scout on the board early doors is always nice because it plays into Ingrid Storm Daughters, and they found the Ingrid again, which is always a nice feeling. Road Queen could come down and bump up the damage from Scout to 3 if they wanted to. They're going to want to keep the Enforcer in hand, right, for that Necromantic to pop. I mean, do they take the trade here? Do they trade the Fane in here?
Yeah,
and
I would say definitely take the trade, and just
burn them.
You'll play the Enforcer and get rid of that, and then you already have another unit developed on the Sea Haven to sneak damage through. The other option they could have done was bridge withdrawal and just kind of get out of there. Yeah,
and obviously the Enforcer going down onto the Sea Haven, which we're assuming is going to happen right now. One, it gets rid of the Aikitorsu because it's ephemeral where it's come from the Boneyard, but also it gets 2 armor, meaning the Born Again trades into it, but the Enforcer stays on the board, right? Because Sea Haven gives the armor.
Yeah, and the great thing here is that it actually counters Tufaka's Rewind Hex pretty well. So if he bounces the enchantment and Enforcer back to his hand, he gives Cardine another bounce in hand to play.
Yeah. And Enforcer, it's so easy to say, Enforcer shuts down just to reanimate, but what Enforcer can do, and especially in a deck like Valkyries, is it can open up a lane, right? And that's all Valkyries need. They need a couple of free lanes with something like Bridgeway Troll to be able to move stuff around and find that lethal. And giving a free lane that Enforcer can find for people is super strong, and something that Tufaka will be more than aware of. And also, it is a Valkyrie that plays into, again, Ingrid's mechanic of pulling Valkyries back from the graveyard. At the moment, there are 2 Valkyries on the board. Where do you see this one going now? Slayer's on the board. Do you think he drops the Road Queen and trades the Enforcer into the Scion?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a decent play worth doing. And then you kind of put the Enforcer in the yard for Ingrid.
Yep. And then we've got 4 damage to the face here. And it's, down to 14. That is not a nice total to be on, right, against the Valkyrie list. We saw last time that Cardine literally ate up 2 down, 10 health straight away with the Bridgeway Troll. Having an Ingrid, which is going to come down, remember, at a buffed 5/4 because Road Queen is on the board. Having an Ingrid come down and then potentially playing a Bridgeway Troll the following turn can really set up some nasty stuff. The Volkov Heavy could be something that could be a little bit frustrating for Cardine to deal with, and also having that Pride of Place that can deal with the Ingrid, right? That straight up turns it into that. So Valkyries don't come back from the graveyard. It doesn't get the buff off Road Queen.
They do come back from the graveyard because it's the Awaken, right? But then they don't have to deal with the Alpha Strike of Ingrid. So
sorry, that was a mistake by me. For some reason I was seeing it as a demise ability. As good old Watch Flake would say, or Morpheus, read the cards. Read the cards. And it is an Awaken ability. But yeah, having that 6 damage wide at the moment with Scout, and this is going to poop a desert out, I'm guessing. There we go. And he loves pooping the desert out, that guy. Ooh, Demolition Speedway. He's going to could potentially bump Road Queen up to a tasty 5. We have the Swift as well on the Road Queen, on the Scout. There's a few options here, right? Obviously, Cardine can see that Pride of Place in hand. They know that's there. At the moment, the Rewind Hex is only getting half its value because it's only bumping the enchantment back. There's no minions or creatures or cards on there, so there's nothing that's going to get the extra value from slowing that down. How do you think Cardine plays this out? Do you think they're looking for a way of now setting up potential Bridgeway Troll lethal?
I don't think I see lethal here. They had to burn the horn in hand, and I think they could have achieved lethal if they had horn in hand here. But yeah, I think you develop the Bridgeway Troll and the Speedway, and you try and get lethal with it next turn. And you could definitely make some trades here if you want to.
So that goes to 5.
Yeah, maybe they just sneak in 10 damage.
They're going to bring this across over here and swing in 10 damage. There we go. And that is not nice because there is 3 damage agile at the moment. Obviously, they only need to block lane 1 at the moment, and they can't trade the Born Again in because that would open up lane 2, which could obviously be swung into with the agile. Having a 4 or a 5/4 with Road Queen on the board coming down as well is nasty. Pride of Place at the moment is kind of useless, right? Because it actually, Pride of Place on Road Queen does remove the buff on Scout, but Pride of Place doesn't actually. It actually gives him 1 extra damage at the moment, rather than shutting anything down.
Tufaka misplayed and didn't poop out a desert there before trading. Yeah. And one thing that Tufaka has in his hand that might just save him is Lavish Proxy. Mm-hmm. So they could, I think you Lavish Proxy now and then you Rewind Hex after that.
Do you think he Lavish Proxies lane 1 his side, or does he look to block? Obviously, Lavish Proxy's had its nerf, so it's lost some damage. It's lost some damage, down to 2 damage rather than 4. So you think that's fine over there, just saying we're going to leave this over here. This is where a Valkyrie Enforcer would have been wonderful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have secured lethal, but I think he actually... Yeah,
he has one in the graveyard, right? So he has a Valkyrie.
So he could Ingrid and get it back for next turn, but that kind of telegraphs his play. But he's got to do it anyways, right?
Yeah.
If he had any other kind of enchantment ramp, he maybe could have pulled off a cube play and done it.
Yeah, but I mean, even having the Valkyrie Enforcer, obviously, Tufaka can see it, but it puts him on the clock, right? He's going to swing, I'm assuming, at face now. So he's going to swing at face and say, you're on 1 health. I've got 3 cards on the board. How are you going to deal with it? You can't Pride of Place any of my cards because that's not going to do anything for you. That's going to completely just give me damage. Rewind Hex is fine. It will deal with a troll, but it still leaves 2 cards on the board. Born Again is fine, but again, with that Speedway on the board, that's lethal with the overrun there. So, and pair at the gates, he plays that now or he plays that next turn. He draws cards, but I feel like this is not a great situation for Tufaka to be in. And I really do feel like they're quite literally on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I don't see any good answers for Tufaka here.
No, the Solomon's Gale. I mean, remember, Ingrid is Alpha Strike, right, guys? So remember, Ingrid, Alpha Strike overrun, sorry. So the 7 Alpha Strike, meaning it needs something needs to have 8 health for it to do damage to Ingrid. So that is an absolute beast, and having the overrun on that as well this is very much looking hugely in favor right now for Cardine, who with the Enforce next turn can bump Proxy back to hand and swing through with a variety of options at the moment for lethal.
Yeah, this isn't looking good, and I don't know what 2 cards they're looking at right now. Benediction. I mean, they could get it. I mean,
they die Benediction. Ingrid puts it at 0. They can't take the damage, which that's a cute play.
Yeah, but they're out of mana. They needed to Rewind Hex the Troll because the Troll is what's gonna, even if they block the lanes, the Trolls with the Enforcers.
Yeah, and there we go. Enforcer's gonna bump the Proxy back, and the Troll is gonna swing through, tickle Tufaka, but that tickle is gonna be just enough to see him through. And Cardine is taking this matchup 2-0, people. I'll be honest. I will be very honest. Going into this matchup, knowing how good or how strong, sorry, I should say, Tufaka's Green Orange has proven over the last 2 events, I honestly thought that they've got this in the bag. They've got this in the bag against a mono blue matchup. Turns out Woody knows nothing. I mean, we knew that anyway, so we're not learning anything new about that, but we knew that anyway. But I mean, are you surprised at the outcome? Are you surprised in the mono blue Valks overcoming that very strong list?
No. I mean, Valkyries have, I think one of the only bad matchups for Valkyries is maybe red blue, and I think that mono red list is actually going to be pretty tough for them. You just need a life gain and a way to redevelop your board, because they can just kill you too quick.
It's funny you say that, because obviously that does see Cardine go through to the finals. So that means our 3rd and 4th place playoff match will be Large Nuggets facing off against Tufaka to try and take 3rd spot in the Mythgard section, or Mythgard For Humanity, or Cards For Humanity, however you want to refer to it. And that does see Silver Arrow running that mono red list that Wholesome just spoke about, facing off against Cardine in the grand final of the Mythgard section of Cards For Humanity. We'll be jumping into the lists, diving into our analysis of that game, and diving into the game itself after the break, people. Go get your drinks. It's now time. Now I can say Cosmopolitan. It's been long enough. You guys have been here long enough. The stream's been going long enough. You can go get whatever drink you want. Woody loves a Cosmopolitan. I mean, the Tash Cosmopolitan, I feel empowered when I drink it, okay? Go get that. Go get what you want. Chill out. Take 5-10 minutes, and we will see you for the final right after the break.